Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So some updates for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 9-1, big 17-16 win over the Colts in Indianapolis. It was a crazy game. I want to go in some depth with some of the things that happened the other day. The NFC East I want to go over and some updates on all of that. So let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So I want to go over the game from yesterday, and obviously some updates, some other things that are kind of been on my mind, and I want to go over a few things. Now, I want to go over the running back snaps, the rotation, what's been going on. And like I said, I've been kind of complaining about this every single week with these running backs. You have Miles Sanders, 13 carries for 47, Boston Scott, 3 for 8, Kenny Gainwell, 1. I mean, look, 1 rushing attempt. I mean, and I have some. I mean, he has Kenneth Gainwell caught a few passes, but that minute mark at the end of the game when there was a minute 20 left, and Kenneth Gainwell had 2 catches for 4 yards and was still in there. I mean, you're not using Miles Sanders for these big moments, and I still don't know why. I don't. The past few weeks, are they saving him for the playoffs? Are they trying to do less with him? I mean, I don't know what the answer is. You're hurting his money for next year, and, you're hurting a lot of other things, but, you still won the game, but it's just, I don't know why you're not using Miles Sanders on those moments. The Texans game, he had 16 yards in the first half. Last game against Washington, he had a carry for 6 yards. Now he was 5 for 19. 5 for 19 in the first half of this game. I mean, they just sway away from him, and then they don't give him the ball till the end of the third quarter. Against Washington, they didn't give him the ball to the end of the third quarter. Same as this game we just played against the Colts. I don't know. No beat writers have asked this question on why they haven't used him, and I don't know the reason why, because, your workhorse is Miles Sanders. I mean, that's your workhorse. I mean, Boston Scott, I mean, what is he even doing? Why is he even in the lineup, to be honest? Where the hell is Trey Sermon at? That's the question I have. Where's Trey Sermon? You want to trade for him? You got the gift of him going off waivers. You pick him up and use him 2 times in the Jaguars game and a bad weather game, and you don't use him ever again. So you got to take more pressure off your quarterback. Now, to defend the offense that happened, in the first half, the Eagles were getting on the other side of the field. The Eagles were, we got on the other side of the field a couple times. The inflicted penalties is what really killed us. And, I can believe if they're pass happy, they can get to the other side of the field without a run game. But I don't like that, because I like to keep it balanced, keep the defense on their toes, keep them guessing. Okay, the more you pass, the more they're gonna be, you're gonna make these defenses pass rush you a lot more. They'll be more comfortable in blitzing you a lot more, and they can see what you're doing. You're gonna make this look too predictable, and that's what happened this game a little bit. Started predicting us a little bit too much. The shotgun runs were way too slow. They were reading those. I mean, to get the play going, it just took too long at some points. Yannick Ngakoue was literally waiting for the exchange a couple times, as much as we had some penalties on the offensive line and some of these tight ends. And it was a mess at some points. I mean, the Eagles were down the whole entire game until that last drive by the offense, and Jalen Hurts just knows how to win. That man deserves a contract as of right now. I mean, he's getting to that point where he deserves it, and probably will, depending what happens with the Eagles in the playoffs and how they do this year. It's looking good. Going his direction. So the running back rotation, I still think they should have a bruiser back. They're not even using Miles Sanders in those, a very important drive. Why he's not on the field kind of questions me still, but I guess we'll find out down the road, what happens with that, which I don't know. I feel like they're going to do the same thing with Miles every single game, and I still don't know why they're doing it. Secondly, Nick Sirianni. I don't know why Nick gets such a bad rap from the fans and from the media in general. This was a very big emotional win for Nick, and playing, being the offensive coordinator for the Colts, the past few years. Okay, well, obviously he was a first-time head coach last year for the Eagles, but before that, Number one, Frank Reich was a big part of this thing, and he thought Frank Reich would be the head coach, and he was going to have fun today for him to be there. So an emotional day for him. Some coaches show it, some coaches don't show it, but wears his heart on his sleeve through and through. And, he goes to the stands after the game is over and he starts hyping everybody up. And I don't know why people think he's like a loser for doing that, or it's just a loser's mentality, or he's faking it, or he's making himself look like something that he's not. That's just who Nick is. I love his attitude. I like that he wears his heart on his sleeve. I love that he's always emotional and defends his players whether they're right or wrong, like a best friend, like that's who he is. And, he went to the locker room for the victory celebration and pretty much was like, I care about those guys over at the Colts. He told everybody, he's like, obviously he coached there. He knows a lot of the players there, which it's weird because I wasn't even thinking about all this going to this game that Nick coached there. And, I figured, the Colts would figure Nick out a little bit because he knows a lot of that coaching staff. But, he mentioned that the Colts players are important to him, but, he said it's nothing compared to how I feel about you guys in this room, talking to all the Eagles players after the game. And, he was emotional, wanted to play with Frank Reich. He even said at his press conference, like, Frank Reich, I have a lot to say about the whole Frank Reich situation. He pretty much was like, you don't want to know what I have to say about that situation. So he even told the beat writers last night, like, defending Frank Reich on why they shouldn't have fired him. I mean, that was a big mentor to Nick Sirianni. You know what I mean? So got a huge feeling that you could see a big Frank Reich signing as an OC if Shane Steichen leaves next year or something, because there's way too much emotion from Nick to Frank Reich and that relationship in general. So wouldn't surprise me if Frank Reich becomes so. I don't care if it's an OC or somewhat of an assistant with the Philadelphia Eagles next year. That's how much of a bond they do have and how much they value each other and could coach again together. But obviously the roles are reversed a little bit, and Nick is the head coach, and Frank Reich would be working under him. So no problem what Nick has done here. Obviously, like, I want to see him take charge more on what the hell we're doing offensively, like what the hell's going on. But as a head coach-wise, I've had no issues. It was a little bit of a raunchy, weird start with Nick because I didn't really know how to feel about him in the beginning. The mulch flower thing from last year, we were kind of like laughing at it, but at the same time, I guess it really worked. And then we were trying to see like what this coach is all about. So I've been very happy with Nick so far, and the whole Frank Reich situation, all that stuff. So that's definitely talked about. The defensive line, interesting enough. And, you look at the snap count. Fletcher Cox was already guy makes $13-14 million fully guaranteed for the year. And, he was bitching earlier in the week about, I'm playing over 70% of the snaps. And this was after the Washington game. Playing over 70% of the snaps, way too much. Well, a couple guys are hurt. Marlon T is out now. Marlon T is out with a meniscus tear, which he's going to be out the whole entire year, most likely. So he'll be out the rest of the season, hence why the Eagles, well, I found out about this like this morning from yesterday. I didn't know what the injury was. I saw that he was on IR for a meniscus, didn't know how bad it was, and it's bad. Apparently he tore it. So he will be out the rest of the year, hence why the Eagles picked up Linval Joseph and Dominican Sue. Sue and Joseph, okay? Joseph had 26 snaps. Doesn't seem like a lot, but a good amount for his first game. Sue only had 17, and they both had a half sack and compiled together 6-7 tackles, which I think is really good. I think it's fantastic. That time when they both, tackled the, two brand new Eagles players are making a tackle together on Matt Ryan. I thought that was awesome. And just how much they brought just the first day. Linval Joseph just being that, that shed blocking master in the middle. And Sue has a lot more juice left, man. His pass rush ain't that bad. He almost had another sack by himself or a strip on Matt Ryan later. I think it was the third quarter. I forgot what quarter it was, but it was amazing, man, to have these guys up front. And this is without Jordan Davis even being back yet. I mean, let Jordan Davis rest. I think he's eligible to come back next week, but I don't think they should play him. They should let him get 100% healthy. There's no I am in in no rush to bring Jordan Davis back within another week. If you want to wait a couple weeks to the Tennessee game, then I'm totally fine with that. But, because you got a lot of good running backs to face off the next few weeks, it's going to be kind of crazy. So, I love this tangent, man. It's so powerful. Got some meat in the middle of that sandwich, man. It's just crazy, which I absolutely love. But at the same time, I think Fletcher Cox is going to play a lot better, and this ain't the same Fletcher Cox we've been seeing. Thought Fletch had a kind of a good beginning of the year, good first quarter of the year, and then kind of dimmed down a little bit. Fletch is going to play better with less snaps. You don't want to put too much pressure on him. And look at Hargrave and Cox had a good amount of snaps in that game. There's no doubt about it. But to have over 70%, you'd have another 10 to 15 snaps, which I don't think they need at all. So once you have these other guys in here like Sue and Robert Quinn, even Milton Williams had a sack. He had 18, and Milton Williams has been getting, given some pressure here and there, and kind of has been having a good middle to the end of the year. So we'll see the rest of Milton Williams and what he does the rest of the year. But I've been liking what I'm seeing from him. I think he's got two or three sacks for the year. Just fantastic. The ends are playing great, except for Robert Quinn with 10 snaps. I still don't know why they're just still not using him. You gave up a 4th-round pick for him, and you're not paying him anything. He's a 1-year rental for a little over $700,000 for the year, and yet he has only 10 snaps. I still don't get it. I still don't get the 10 snaps, the low snap count, why they're not just rushing the crap out of him. Makes no sense. Still kind of questioning it. But maybe we'll find out, maybe he'll respond later on. He's got 1 sack in 10 games. It's just not enough right now. Now they're using him. I think that's a part of it as of right now. Next, the NFC East. This is going to be very interesting since there was some surprises the other day. The New York Giants lose against the Detroit Lions, which I was shocked over that. I mean, I had them winning that game by a landslide, and they lost. They got killed. I mean, the Lions scored 30 on them. The Giants come out of that game hurt. I mean, I felt really bad because to be happy for a team losing is great, but to see why and what they lost out of it is really bad. They have 6 injuries. 6. Okay. And Adoree Jackson is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. Wan'Dale Robinson, the 2nd-round pick out of Kentucky, which I was a huge fan of, he's out with a torn ACL. There's 4 other guys that are hurt right now. So they're losing a lot. I think both cornerbacks are hurt. Like I said, Adoree Jackson's hurt, Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, really, at the end of the day, Darius Slayton's the only one that's really doing anything with that offense right now. Okay, I think Daniel Jones threw 2 picks in that game, but Darius Slayton has over 200. I think he's the only receiver over 200 yards right now. Shepard's still out, with his injury. They have nobody offensively. And I don't think they've really done anything offensively too much this whole season. They've gotten some plays. That defense with Wink Martindale as the DC has really put them in a good position. But now you're down a safety from an ATV accident. You're down, you're down 2 corners. You're down some extra guys, and you're down a really good, fast receiver. You know what I mean? So you traded one of your receivers to KC, so you don't have him anymore. So you're wearing thin right now. It's a short week for the Giants. Giants and Cowboys are about to beat up on each other on Thursday night. I think it's in Dallas this week. So that I think it's going to be really up to that defense. The Giants, that's a big loss. I mean, it's a big loss for the division. And it sucks that they lost 6 guys. And I don't know if all 6 guys are out the whole year. All 6 aren't out the whole year, but they're going to be missing a lot of time. One guy with an ACL, I don't know what else is going on besides the Adoree Jackson MCL, but it's a crappy loss. It's a shit loss to lose a game, but then lose all those players, which really sucks. Washington, another win against the Texans, 5 wins. Carson Wentz is going to be out of there. I mean, it's done. I mean, they're running the ball. They're passing the ball. They're very balanced. They're doing a really good job. The Washington Commanders are doing well, and the Texans got a beat down. And they stayed very aggressive the whole entire game, and that's 5 wins for Taylor Heineke. And like I said, Carson Wentz ain't coming back. That's it. I mean, it's over for Carson Wentz now. Taylor Heineke might be your new starter for the future of that team. So should be very interesting what happens. And they're moving up. Like God knows if the rest of the NFC, the NFC East, they start losing games, and Washington might catch up. You never know. Washington could have a wild card spot. Most likely, they could definitely get into the playoffs, and they've been playing really well, and they deserve it. So So I totally get it. The Dallas Cowboys massacred the Vikings. It was a very good win for them. And this was a This was a Vikings team coming off a very emotional. This was a big letdown win for Minnesota. I mean, they did nothing that whole entire game. They lost their left tackle to a concussion during the game, and they just fell apart. I mean, they just fell apart. So I think the Cowboys are going to play like that every single week? No. The Vikings literally gave you nothing. Okay, they gave you absolutely nothing in that whole entire game. Okay, but I can say is that Cowboys look good on the run. The run game, the pass game. Dak Prescott is only going to look good. When Kellen Moore is situational with him and the play calling, you're making it even with the run game and kind of balancing it out a little bit and not getting too pass happy where Dak is not thrown over 40 times a game. That's definitely going to help the Cowboys going forward. And that defense played really good too, and Justin Jefferson was pretty much shut down as well. Adam Thielen had some catches. Justin Jefferson had a couple catches, but I mean, they were pretty much shut down. They couldn't protect Kirk Cousins, and that was just the case to it all. So that was a very good win for the Cowboys. Do I think they're going to play like this every single game and score over 40 points? No. Blowing out teams doesn't mean a damn thing. That's just what it is. People, it's always a narrative of what players do it and how much respect those teams get for doing things like that. If the Eagles don't blow out anybody, they get disrespected that, they're not playing to their full advantage. I've seen teams that steamroll over teams during the regular season all year, and they get to the playoffs and totally fall apart. And it doesn't matter. This is it's a game-by-game league, and just because you play good one week doesn't mean you'll play good another week. And that stands for the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and the Washington Commanders. So it can go either way, but this is still looking like the top of the NFC. Eagles are still in the lead in the NFC and the NFC East, and the Giants losing was big for the rest of the NFC East, and the Eagles still have to play the Giants 2 times. So with the injuries that they have and all that stuff, I don't want to play a team and kind of make it unfair, but it's just part of the game, and it really sucks. The Eagles are dealing with injuries as well. So that is the NFC East. And, I kind of want to go over real quick. That literally just came back to my mind. I was supposed to end the video right now, but the tight end position is a big one right now for the Eagles. I mean, Goddard not being here, that's Jalen Hurts' safety blanket, man. Goddard having a Pro Bowl year. Watch out George Kittle. Watch out Travis Kelce, because Dallas Goedert's coming to town for that Pro Bowl. Okay, he's another one ad. He's definitely, in my opinion, he's, I think, the 3rd best tight end in the league. That's just me. I think he's the 3rd best. I think he's definitely top 5, no doubt about it, easily. Missing him, that they need to figure out what they're doing with Jack Stahl, Calcaterra, and Tyree Jackson. It was kind of like I was kind of surprised they had Tyree Jackson dressed up. I mean, and I know he's on the 21-day practice window, and he was off the PUP list, and he's healthy now, but he's coming off an ACL. How much do I think he's going to do? Not much. Had a penalty. You had Calcaterra with the 3rd and 2 penalty. Okay, 3rd and 2 has a holding call. So Calcaterra is not a good blocker. He's got speed. But that's it. I wouldn't call on him. There were times where they had A.J. Brown out of the game. They had A.J. Brown out of the game when they did double tight end sets, which I don't know why they're doing double tight end sets. And you're going to leave A.J. Brown on the sideline, which A.J. Brown didn't have a great game either. Devontae Smith had a pretty good game, but the receivers were a non-factor because we didn't do anything until the end of the game. You know what I mean? Quez Watkins had a resurgence, a good rebound game, kind of paid for what happened when he fumbled the ball last week. And then A.J. Brown did the same thing in this game, what Quez did last week. So it was very, Dallas Goedert not being here. They got to figure something out. Either use Quez a lot more, double tight end sets. I don't know. They got to do something here, because I know Stahl can do a lot more than what he's doing. He's more of a receiving tight end than he was the past few weeks. Since the Cowboys game, they've been going towards his way. Put Zach Pascal in there a little bit more. I mean, something else, because you're switching guys in and out. These tight ends are getting reps, but at the same time, it's too much. Calcaterra hasn't played since the second half. One play, one catch. One play, one catch for the second half of that Commanders game, week 3 of the season. That's the last time Calcaterra was in a game, and all the pressure is on them with Dallas Goedert not there. So you're not going to get Dallas Goedert for 3 to 4 weeks. So if I had something to fix with this team going into the week, it's the snap count for Miles Sanders needs to be fixed. You cannot give – I would – do something with Boston Scott. Him being a running back makes no sense right now. It makes absolutely no sense with three carries. He's a no-show. There's no use for him. I'm not saying I don't like Boston Scott. We don't need him, but there's no use for him right now. You should put in a bruiser back. You should put in Trey Sermon and see what he could do. At least right now, since the season's still going on, do not wait till last second for this man to get reps for the playoffs or something. They should use a bruiser back. I don't like Jalen Hurts taking a lot of hits either. That's another thing that's kind of making me a little crazy too. So, hopefully that changes, When Hurts has to use his legs, I think because Dallas Goedert was not there, Hurts had to use his legs a little bit more. And I'm totally fine with that. But, you put in a bruiser back, you take out Boston Scott, you put in a Trey Sermon or something like that, yeah, it could definitely help. It takes pressure off your quarterback, and you're ready to go, man. You have a running back taking a beating except the quarterback taking a beating. Hurts is trying to get all these yards with his legs, and he did a fantastic job. I think we had 86, 87 receiving yards. So, I thought it was good, but, are we going to do this every game with him when he has to? I'm not saying he can't use his legs. He can, but when they're forcing him to use his legs or when he decides to use his legs because of obviously the play is breaking down, there's nowhere to pass, and he has to go, him taking those unnecessary hits, yeah, I don't really like that too much. But when he's got to do it, he's got to do it. But all I'm saying is if you need a little bit of help, just do something else with this running back core and put in Trey Sermon. It just doesn't – it will help. Give the man some reps. Do something because if you're going to use Gainwell like he's your workhorse, just like how they used Devontae Smith last year, it didn't treat Devontae Smith like a number one last year and was literally telling the coaching staff to give him the damn ball because, nothing else was working. Listen to your damn players. Look at what you have on this roster here. Don't start making too many changes. Stop going down this beaten path of not using Miles Sanders now all the time. And you got to figure out the whole thing with Dallas Goedert and how to replace his production. And I think that's what's going to be really important going forward. I know I've repeated myself a million times in this video, but I do appreciate if you made it to the end of this video, making it here. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I know it was a long video, but I'm sorry about that. 22 minutes. I know. But I'll see you guys on the next Eagles update. You guys enjoy your day. The Eagles are 9-1 and definitely enjoy it. So I'll see you guys later. Shakes, what up? Follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.